Today, we're going to dig into the most important chord progression in all of jazz, the 2-5-1. Let's go. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Today, I wanted to tell y'all about my nonprofit organization, Second Line Arts Collective. My good friend Darian Douglas and I founded this organization 9 years ago. Yeah, that's right, y'all. 9 years ago. It's crazy to think that next year is going to be year 10. We started this organization to help the next generation of New Orleans musicians become great artists and entrepreneurs. Y'all, the industry has changed so much over the last 20 years. We've gone from a record label model to a do-it-yourself model. Back in the day, all you had to do was worry about being a great musician or a great artist, and a record label would come and help develop your career. Today, we don't really operate under that model, and artists are responsible for taking care of all aspects of their career. We're not only the artist and musician, but today we're also responsible for doing our social media, for booking gigs, for being our tour manager, for being a publicist. We're responsible for all the aspects of our career. So we started Second Line Arts Collective to be the first organization in New Orleans that merged arts education and entrepreneurship training. We wanted to give these young people all the tools necessary to have a long and successful career in the arts. And y'all, be on the lookout. These kids are absolutely killing. I had a wonderful time at the workshop, and I'm looking forward to next year. Today, I'm repping some merch of my nonprofit, Second Line Arts Collective. And if you all are interested in supporting the next generation of New Orleans musicians, you can visit secondlinearts.org and make a tax-deductible donation. Oh, tax-deductible, right? That's a big selling point. You can also pick up some of this merch that'll go directly to supporting our organization. What's going on, y'all? My name is Gregory Agid, and today we're going to talk about the most important chord progression in all of jazz, the 2-5-1. Today's video is part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, click the link in the description. In part 1, we talked about how to arpeggiate the chords of a 2-5-1 by digging into the changes of autumn leaves. Today, in part 2, we're going to dig into the scales that correlate with each one of these chords. Let's just get right into it. Now that you know how to arpeggiate the chords of a 2-5-1, let's dig into the scales that correlate with each one of these chords. Once again, we're going to use autumn leaves as the vehicle to understand the scales that correlate with each one of these chords. I'm going to grab my horn. Let's check out the scales that correlate with the major 2-5. Over the D minor 7, we're going to use the Dorian mode. And the Dorian mode is like a major scale with a flat 3 and a flat 7. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Let's play the D Dorian scale, and let's play the scale all the way up to the 9th and then come back down. The next chord is a G7, and on 7th chords, we're going to use the Mixolydian mode. The Mixolydian mode is like a major scale, but it has a flat 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. G, A, B, C, D, E, F natural. Let's play the G Mixolydian scale all the way to the 9th and come back down. The next chord is a C major 7, and typically we're going to use the Ionian mode, which is the same thing as a major scale. Let's play the C major scale all the way up to the 9th and come back down. The chord on the fourth measure is an F major 7. I know I just told you that we typically use the Ionian mode over major 7th chords. And if I was to play an F major scale, I would have a B flat. And that B flat is going to clash with the notes of a C major scale. So since we just resolved to a C major 7 and C major 7 is the 1, let's stay in the key of C. We're going to play an F Lydian instead of an F Ionian scale. And the Lydian scale is a major scale with a sharp 4. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, 7. F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Let's play the F Lydian all the way to the ninth and come back down. I'm curious if you noticed something interesting about the D Dorian, G Mixolydian, C Ionian, and F Lydian. Did you notice anything special about all of those scales? Y'all, each one of those scales has no sharps and no flats. They all come from the parent key of C. The D Dorian is a C major scale starting on D. The G Mixolydian is a C major scale starting on G. The C Ionian is just a C major scale. And the F Lydian is a C major scale starting on F. Just an interesting observation to check out. Now let's check out the scales that correlate with the minor 2-5. The first chord is a B minor 7 flat 5, which is also known as a B half diminished. Now, what scale correlates with a minor 7 flat 5? It's the Locrian mode. Now, Locrian sounds really complicated because it has a bunch of flatted notes, but there's an easy way to remember all of the notes of the Locrian scale. We're playing a B minor 7 flat 5, and since the Locrian mode is the 7th mode of a major scale, I'm going to ask you the question, what key is B the 7th note of? Well, B is the 7th note of C major. So we're going to play a C major scale starting on B. Anytime you see a minor 7 flat 5, just play a major scale up a half step. If B minor 7 flat 5 is your chord, B, go up a half step, C, and then just play a C major scale starting on B. Let's play the B Locrian scale, go to the ninth, and come back down. We only got 2 chords left, y'all. The next chord is an E7 flat 9. And if you remember from the previous 2-5, we also had a dominant chord. We had a G7. G7 and this E7 flat 9 are both dominant chords. However, the E7 flat 9 has an alteration, a flat 9. If you remember in my part 1 video, we talked about the idea of tension and resolution. Dominant chords are the tension chord, and the tension chord resolves to the 1 chord. Generally speaking, we can add alterations to any dominant chord. So if we chose to, we could create some more tension on the G7 by adding some alterations. We don't have to, but we could. The E7 flat 9 already specifies that we're going to play an E7 with a flat 9. Over the E7 flat 9, we can actually play several different scales. But today, I'm going to talk about the scale that's most important to bebop, and that's the Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13. The Mixo flat 9, flat 13 scale. Oh yeah. Some people call that the Phrygian dominant, but I prefer calling it a Mixo flat 9, flat 13. With the Mixo flat 9, flat 13, we're going to play a major scale with a flat 7 because it's Mixolydian, and then we're going to also flat the 9th and the 13th. Just in case you were wondering, the 9th is the same note as the 2nd, and the 13th is the same note as the 6th. 1, flat 9, which is the same as a flat 2, natural 3, 4, 5, flat 13, which is also the same as a flat 6, flat 7, and back to the root. Let's play the E7 flat 9, flat 13, all the way to the flat 9, and come back down. The interesting thing about the Mixolydian flat 9, flat 13 scale is it's actually a mode of the harmonic minor. And in the previous scales, we were playing modes of the major scale, and Mixo flat 9, flat 13 is a mode of the harmonic minor scale. We're playing an A harmonic minor scale starting on E. I don't mean to confuse y'all, just throwing that out there. The last chord is an A minor 7. And if you remember from the previous minor 7th chord, we're going to use the Dorian mode. So we're going to play the A Dorian mode over the A minor 7. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. Let's play the A Dorian scale all the way to the 9th and come back down. We just played all the scales that correlate with a major 2-5-1 and a minor 2-5-1. Let's play the first 8 bars of Autumn Leaves, and I'm going to play each one of the scales up to the 7th in time over the chord changes. Check this out. Don't be afraid to play this really slow because there's a lot of information happening here. We just played all of the scales ascending to the 7th note. Let's play the same scales descending from the 7th note back to the root. Check this out. Now, in the next variation, we can play up the first scale, down the second scale, and so on. Check this out. And in the final variation, we're going to play down the first scale and then go up the second scale. Down the D minor, up the G7. Let's see if I can do it. All right, y'all. Now you know all of the chords that correlate with a major 2-5-1 and a minor 2-5-1. Don't be afraid to practice all of these scales really slow at first. It's a lot of information and it's going to take some time to get. At first, I would recommend sticking to the pattern of playing from the root to the 7th because every time you play that shape, you know you're playing one measure of music. It'll help you keep the form. Once you feel comfortable with that, you can begin breaking away from that shape and freely improvising over the scales and changing to fit each one of the chord changes. I hope this video helped you on your journey. Like always, if you're enjoying my content, please don't forget to give me a like, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. You can leave a super thanks. You can become a member. You can go to my website and download a PDF of all of this information, or you can come up with some other way to show me some love. I would very much appreciate that. Stick around for part 3 because we're going to implement vocabulary over these chord changes. All right, y'all. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.